Shalom, shalom, kingdom family. Joel Charles Yasharah, the house of Yahudah the Yahudi. Those who are grafted in, good evening. I just want to come on here, speak to the remnant, those who've been in separation, those who've been in isolation, those who've been in the wilderness season, those who've been stripped of everything. Some of y'all might not have no cars, might have no resources to get shelter, but He's called us to be set apart. Those who've been stripped of everything, no matter where you're at in the earth. Continue to hold on to the Most High. Continue speaking His name, speaking truth. Continue to walk by faith, not by sight. Walk that narrow path, and don't go back. Don't go backwards. He removed people, and He removed you out of situations, out of certain friend groups, churches, family members, and the relationships you was in. Either you're married or you boyfriend, girlfriend, jobs, things you used to do, you don't do it no more. Don't go backwards. And this is especially to the ones that are in climates brothers and sisters, sons and daughters and elders alike, there's these elements where the temperature drops and the weather is bad. Shelters are being overbooked. They close at a certain time. You don't have the resources to pay for these homeless shelters. You don't have the means. Just know that you're not alone. I'm out here with y'all. I'm out here with y'all. I'm out here fighting the good fight with y'all. He knew me before I was conceived in my mother's womb. He set me apart. I'm made in His image and His likeness. The Ruach of the Most High dwells within me. The same Ruach that raised Yahusha from the dead lives within me. I'm not speaking from a victim's point of view. I'm speaking from victory, because victory is already won. We're just waiting on the Most High to keep His promise that He promised our forefathers and our ancestors. The promise that's due to His chosen ones, the remnant. Excuse me. We in these elements where temperature drops at night, and we don't have everything we need to keep us warm, but we're obedient. We don't have the answers. We're not in control of none of this stuff. We just walked the narrow path. We chose to be obedient. We go through the most. We go through the most. But He's in control. So I want to encourage y'all not to go back. It's not like we being, what they want to say, she's being hard, being hard, being rebellious, being whatever they want to say, label you as. People blame you for this and blame you for that. It's not your fault. You just was called. And you answer the call. And you walk in obedience. You walk that narrow path. We in this world, but we're not of this world. We don't do what the world do, but we have to survive in it. We experience having a human experience. So, some places out the world, some, are being away from family. Some climates are good, some climates are bad, But I'm really speaking to the ones that's out here that's in the bad climates where temperature drops at night. Where I'm at, the wind chills getting ready, it's going to drop. It's going to be below, I think, Friday or Saturday. Sunday is going to be like 11 and below at night. We out here. Y'all not alone. I'm out here with y'all. I'm out here fighting a good fight with y'all. I'm out here on that narrow path with y'all. So you're not alone. You're not alone. I'll share an experience that I had last night. Where I'm at, business closes at a certain time. We try to stay warm the best way we can. Just try to stay connected somehow, some way, to conversate, to reach people, to lead people, to guide people, to tell, truth, to speak truth and speak life. We do the best way we can. Then we're back out here. What I had, I thought I had, in a good place. I didn't know, but when I came back to retrieve it, it was gone. I was hurt. I was hurt because it's like that's all I had. That's all I had to keep me warm. It didn't do good. I still got up, still in pain, but it was only the covering that I had. When I was gone, it was like everything was taken from me. And I cried out to the Most High. It may have led me to say some things. It just took me back. Like I'm out here. I'm doing everything that you called me to do. I don't bother nobody. But I also look at it as like, well, that person may have needed it more than I do. Or it's been thrown away. Whatever the two, it left me freezing, crying out. But something just told me, get up and start walking. And I started walking. But I went back. This is the second time this happened to me. And I went back and I found it. By that time, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. It did what it did for a little bit before I knew I had to get back up. And I understand how people feel. I understand what they're going through. Some out here because they was attacked spiritually. And some of them gave up on life and gave up hope. And just accept, like, this is the way it's going to be. But I'm not going to accept that. Yes, we went through a lot. We go through a lot. We don't accuse nobody, but we had to go through it to build us to who we are and how He made us to be. We remember that we were made in His image and His likeness, that He knew us before we was conceived in our mother's womb. He has set us apart to give us a hope and a future. He has no sorrows, but we had to go through what we had to go through. I'm a believer, what you sow on this earth you shall reap. But I also believe that He has forgiven us. But then, I'm not puffing up nobody, but spiritual warfare is real. You have people that practice this and practice that, group up, do this and do that, monitor, regardless if it happened at your early childhood, even to your adult years, we've been under, ever since we hit this earth, we've been monitored, we've been spied on, people been tracking our every move, clocking our moves. No matter where we go, there's no safe place. But people lied to us, lied on our names, bear false witness, they cast lots. People have stolen from us things that was rightfully belonged to us. People cursed us, spoke stuff over our lives, encouraged other people not to look at us and see us for the divine beings that we are. And people was meant to help us, but somehow, some way, we can't blame them for it, because they was lied to. There was divination practice, there was witchcraft practice to cause them not to see us in the light that we are, when people was instructed to be there for us. And then there's people that's also was warned to leave us alone. They still, or warned to pay back, but still. There's brothers and sisters out here, they don't understand what they facing or what they about to face or what they're going through. It's just me just being here. Like I said, I'm not pointing fingers on nobody. We just go through the most. And we out here, isolation, preparation, being set apart in the wilderness season, being stripped of everything. What Scripture say, though He slay me, I will continue to trust in Him. I will continue to proclaim His name. Sometimes He strips us bare to nothing. He allow. The adversary can't do nothing without the Most High's permission. The remnant goes through the most because we walk in truth. We walk in obedience and we walk in authority. The same Ruach that raised Christ Mashiach, Yahusha, from the grave, it's the same Ruach that dwells in me and dwells in the remnant. The world hates our light. They hate who we are. The adversary hates who we are. And remember, if the world hated him first, but we stand in our authority, we stand in our rightful positions, and we're not going to waver, we're not going to go back. But I allow and petition for my brothers and sisters that's out here, our elders and the young that's out here, that's sleeping out here on the streets, lost souls, the remnant, just humanity, that the Most High move on us, that He shine His light on us, that He favor us, that He doesn't forget us, because His word doesn't come back void. He is not a man that should lie. I'm out here with y'all. I don't know how. I don't know how He's gonna move. I I don't even know when. Nobody knows the day. Nobody knows the hour. He moves when he moves. He answers when he answers. He delivers when he delivers. But we know he's going to move. You just got to be willing to be patient. Stick it out. It's not that we're going through. A lot of people ain't going to understand. They're going to label this. They're going to label like that. But you know, when you're obedient, when you set apart, and when you walk that narrow path, and when you don't compromise, people are not going to understand it. And that's okay. Let people think what they want to think. Let people believe what they want to believe. You know, a lot of people will call, few are chosen. Then if you stay the course, you're part of that remnant. So, this is to the people, the remnant. No matter where you are on this earth, just keep trusting him. He's going to show up. You know, and for the rest of those who are in these regions where it's cold, especially where I'm at, do your best. That's all I can say. Just do your best. Hold your head up. You know, if it gets too cold, you know you ain't going to be able to sleep. Walk it off. There's going to be a time when we ain't got to worry about it no more. But until then, that's the only way I can say keep the blood circulating. For you won't lose your fingers, you won't lose your toes. So my brothers and sisters out here, you know, he doesn't have to respect a person. You know, it rains on the just and the unjust alike. But those who are able to, I don't care what you do, what you got in your home. I don't care if you got money in your bank account. Help those less fortunate. You know, Mashiach he said best himself, what you do to the least of me, you do to me. You know, if I'm hungry, somebody hungry, feed them. Somebody thirsty, give them something to drink. You know, they need a roof over their head, give them shelter. You know, do what you can do to help your brothers and sisters out here. You know, there's a lot of geniuses out here on these streets. There's a lot of creative minds out here on these streets. But somehow, some way, people don't value people like that. They're intimidated. They're afraid of people like that because of the light they carry. You know, their light interrupts these demons, these spirits that's up in these people that cause people to be very prideful, very arrogant, very jealous, very hateful. That's just the characteristics of the devil, of the adversary. El Satan, Sabal, Satan, and everybody that serves him. You know, but just continue to just do what you can. We ain't asking. We don't depend on nobody's help. But if the Most High moves on you to help somebody in need, be obedient to the Most High. Like I said, he'll pour his spirit. He'll lead you. Ask him, what can you do to advance his kingdom? What can I do to help my brothers and sisters, let them know that they're not alone out here? You know, a simple phone call, a simple just to check on them and make, you know, just to see. You know, that stuff goes a long way. Let them know that they ain't out that you know, that they're not alone. And sometimes that's what people need, a helping hand. You know, even though we depend on Creator for everything, that He's the source of everything. Everything in this earth belongs to Him. Period. Point blank. He allowed things to happen. He allowed you to get your riches. He allowed you to be poor. He allowed you to have that mansion. He allowed you to sleep on the street corner. He allowed it to happen because He's in control of all of this. But I say to say this, you know, ask the Most High to lead you, you know, however you want it. You know, what you sow on this earth, you shall reap. You know, you plant, you sow good seeds, you're gonna reap a reward. If you sow bad seeds, you're still gonna reap a reward. But it's probably the same. It's probably the reward that you don't expect. You know, a lot of people think that they can say this, do this, treat people a certain way, and think there is no repercussions. There's a movie Color Purple, what she say, what Stevie said. What's done to me is already done to you. You know, but hey, we don't wish bad on nobody. We know better than that. But hey, things happen for a reason. He's in control. But just be kind to somebody. Check on them. You know, certain groups, certain people, you know, we see their deeds that they doing. We see the deeds that they doing. Certain groups of people doing their best. You know, but he weighs the matters of the heart. Some people do it just because it make them look good in a certain light. Some people do it because from the kindness of their heart. Some people do it just because it's a tax write-off. You never know how people do things, but people do things, you know. Like I said, he knows the matters of the heart. He weighs it. We do things because we actually love and care about people. We care about a better place, a better world, a better earth. But I declare and decree that we're going to get over it. We're going to make it through. He's going to see us through. So keep your head up. I love y'all. God petition for y'all. And don't give up. Don't turn back. Talk to y'all later.